He chose the most popular Hong Kong action film of the time and asked a very direct question. A Hong Kong gangster who ruled the streets with an iron fist, a martial arts legend who changed cinema forever, and a friendship that defied the dark world of organized crime. For decades, whispers and rumors swirled around Bruce Lee's mysterious death in 1973. Did the Triads kill him? Was there a contract ordered from the shadows? Because I had heard that he died, that Bruce Lee died from some kind of allergic reaction to medication or something like that. Now, a former Triad member breaks the silence after 50 years. Chan Wai-Man, once the number 2 in Hong Kong's most feared criminal organization, the 14K Triad, finally speaks. These words carry weight because they knew Bruce Lee personally. They trained together, fought together, and navigated a dangerous world where respect meant survival. What they reveal will destroy the myths surrounding Bruce Lee's death forever. July 20th, 1973 began as an ordinary day. Bruce Lee met with producer Raymond Chow to discuss Game of Death. They went to the apartment of Taiwanese actress Betty Ting Pei, who was to appear in the film, to discuss script details and scene planning. Around 7:30 p.m., Bruce complained of a headache. 2 months earlier, he had felt similar pain before collapsing at work. He had been rushed to the hospital where doctors diagnosed cerebral edema, a dangerous swelling of the brain. The medical team had managed to reduce the swelling and Bruce had recovered. He had attributed the episode to overwork and stress. After all, his training schedule was brutal. He pushed his body beyond normal limits daily. The combination of intense physical exercise, work pressure, and Hong Kong's humid heat created perfect conditions for a medical crisis. But on that fateful day, Bruce thought he had a simple headache. Betty offered him Equagesic, a painkiller containing aspirin and a muscle relaxant called meprobamate. Bruce had already taken the medication without incident. He swallowed the pill and went to lie down in the bedroom, expecting to rest briefly before dinner. But he never woke up. Bruce Lee was pronounced dead at Queen Elizabeth Hospital. He was 32 years old. The official cause of death was cerebral edema caused by a hypersensitivity reaction to medication. The coroner declared the death accidental. But Hong Kong didn't believe the simple explanation. How could the world's most famous martial artist, a man in perfect physical condition, die from a headache pill? Something didn't add up. Conspiracy theories exploded immediately, and Chan Wai-Man, the former Triad member who knew Bruce Lee personally, found himself at the center of speculation. Rumors began before Bruce Lee's body reached the morgue. Whispers spread through Hong Kong streets with viral intensity. The Triads and Hong Kong's personal mafia killed him. It had to be that. The timing, the circumstances, the mysterious death of a healthy young man, everything pointed to assassination. Conspiracy theories multiplied like shadows. Some claimed Bruce had refused to work on Triad-controlled films, angering powerful crime bosses. Others suggested he had witnessed something he shouldn't have seen, becoming a liability. A few even proposed that his teaching of kung fu to Westerners had violated ancient traditions, marking him for death by secret martial arts masters. The Triad involvement theory gained particular traction due to the structure of Hong Kong's film industry. Everyone knew that organized crime syndicates controlled production companies, distribution networks, and talent management. Directors like Lo Wei had confirmed connections with the Triad. The idea that Bruce Lee's independence threatened their business model made logical sense to many people. Chan Wai-Man heard these theories constantly. As a known Triad member and Bruce's friend, people approached him with questions. Some asked directly, others implied accusations without saying them aloud. Pressure mounted for someone to address the rumors definitively. Fueling the conspiracy fire was the location of Bruce's death. He died in Betty Ting Pei's apartment, not in his family home. Initial reports tried to hide this fact, claiming he died while walking with his wife. When the truth emerged, it suggested something to hide. Why lie about the location unless there was a bigger cover-up? Raymond Chow's presence at the scene also raised eyebrows. Chow was Bruce's business partner at Golden Harvest Productions. Some theorists suggested Chow had motives to eliminate Bruce. After Bruce Lee's death, Raymond Chow really exploded. And he was also a heroin guy. After Lee's death, Chow gained total control of their company and enormously profited from film releases. The timing seemed too convenient. The Dim Mak, the legendary death touch technique scene, entered the conversation. Ancient martial arts legend described a method of striking specific pressure points to cause delayed death. Some claimed a master had struck Bruce weeks earlier, and the effects were finally manifesting. No physical evidence supported this theory, but it persisted because it fit the narrative people wanted to believe. The cannabis found in Bruce's stomach during the autopsy triggered additional speculation. Was he drugged? Did someone slip him a lethal substance disguised as marijuana? Toxicology reports showed nothing unusual, but conspiracy theorists questioned their reliability. Over the months, theories became more elaborate and more detached from reality. What no one knew was that the truth would eventually come from someone who actually knew what was happening in Hong Kong's underworld. Chan Wai-Man's story begins in the tough neighborhoods of Hong Kong's new territories. While most children his age went to school, Chan, at 10 years old, was learning a different curriculum on the streets. His fists became his textbooks, Northern Shaolin became his education. At 17, Chan made a choice that would define his life. He joined the 14K Triad, one of the most powerful organized crime syndicates in the world. The 14K controlled everything from drug trafficking to gambling operations across Southeast Asia. They operated with ruthless efficiency, and Chan's natural combat ability made him invaluable. He climbed the ranks faster than anyone expected. What separated Chan from other street thugs was his dedication to martial arts. While enforcing rules for the Triad, he trained relentlessly. He studied Muay Thai, boxing, and Southern Chinese Kung Fu. His hands moved with blinding speed. Gangsters whispered that Chan possessed the fastest punches in Hong Kong. But speed meant nothing without skill, and Chan had both. In 1972, Chan proved his legitimacy beyond the criminal world. He won the Southeast Asian Kung Fu Fighting Championship. The victory validated what everyone already knew. Chan could fight anyone, anywhere. And that's when another formidable fighter entered the scene. The same year, Chan attended a press conference for a film called The Unicorn Palm. The event would change his life. Among the crowd of Hong Kong celebrities stood a man whose presence commanded the room effortlessly. Bruce Lee had just returned from America, and his star was rising faster than anyone could have predicted. The two men met through a mutual friend. The connection was immediate. Both men were small in stature but explosive in combat. Both rejected traditional martial arts politics in favor of practical fighting. And both understood that true strength came from discipline, not just natural talent. Their friendship formed quickly, bound by mutual respect for the art they both loved. But Hong Kong's underworld watched this friendship with interest. The Triads controlled a large part of the film industry, and Bruce Lee's independence threatened their grip. Chan found himself caught between two worlds, the criminal empire he served and the friend he respected. He could feel the tension mounting. What he didn't know was that he only had 1 year to sort things out. A saying resonated in Hong Kong's martial arts community in the early 1970s. Bruce Lee's kicks, Chan Wai-Man's punches. The phrase captured something essential about both men. They had become legends in their own right, representing the pinnacle of different fighting techniques. Bruce Lee's kicking power was supernatural. His side kicks could send opponents flying backward. His hook kicks arrived from angles that seemed impossible. Witnesses described his leg speed as supernatural. One moment his foot rested on the ground, the next it connected with a target's head. No wasted movement, no telegraphed motion, just pure explosive power delivered with surgical precision. Chan's punches operated on the same principle, but with hands instead of feet. His fists materialized from nowhere. Opponents claimed they never saw the blows coming. 1 second Chan stood in a fighting stance. The next, his fist had already landed. The speed defied human reaction time. The two men sparred occasionally, though never officially. Chan watched Bruce train, studying his methods with the eye of a true martial artist. What he saw amazed him. Bruce's dedication exceeded anything Chan had seen. Bruce ran 6 kilometers several times a week, incorporating interval training before the concept became common. He lifted weights when traditional martial artists considered it heretical. His forearm training alone would exhaust most fighters. He performed hundreds of punches daily, sometimes while holding light weights. His abs received daily attention through multiple exercises. Everything served a purpose. Speed, power, endurance. Who would win in a real fight between them? Chan himself admitted the truth. Nobody knew. Both men possessed incredible skills. Both trained with an intensity that bordered on obsession. A true confrontation would answer the question. But that fight would never happen. Darker forces were gathering around Bruce Lee's rising star. And Chan was powerless to stop them. The 14K Triad organization traces its roots to 1945 when Lieutenant General Katsu Wong formed it in Guangzhou, China. Originally conceived as an anti-communist action group, the 14K served political purposes during the Chinese Civil War. But politics gave way to profit and the group evolved into something far more dangerous. When the communists took power in 1949, thousands of 14K members fled south to British Hong Kong. They brought their organizational structure, their code of loyalty, and their willingness to use violence for profit. Hong Kong became their new kingdom and they divided it into territories like feudal lords. In the 1950s, approximately 300,000 Triad members operated in Hong Kong. They controlled drug trafficking, gambling operations, prostitution networks, and protection rackets. But their most lucrative activity involved heroin and opium from Southeast Asia's Golden Triangle. Within a few years, Chan Wai-Man became number 2 in the Sham Shui Pa branch, one of Kowloon's most important territories. This position carried immense power and equally immense danger. Sham Shui Pa controlled Hong Kong's nightlife scene. The district housed nightclubs, restaurants, and entertainment venues that generated enormous cash flows. The 14K extracted tribute from every business, offered protection that couldn't be refused, and eliminated competitors with extreme prejudice. Chan oversaw much of this operation. The Triad's influence extended to Hong Kong's film industry. They invested in production companies, controlled distribution networks, and managed talent. Directors who refused to cooperate saw their projects sabotaged. Actors who resisted discovered that career opportunities mysteriously disappeared. The message was clear: work with the Triads or don't work at all. Director Lo Wei, who launched Bruce Lee's film career with The Big Boss and Fist of Fury, had Triad connections. Golden Harvest and Shaw Brothers Studio, the two major production houses, both maintained relationships with organized crime. This web of criminal influence permeated all levels of Hong Kong's entertainment industry. Chan's dual existence as Triad enforcer and martial arts champion gave him unique access. He could move between the underworld and legitimate society with ease. But this position also placed him at the center of growing tensions around Bruce Lee's independence. Bruce Lee's status in Hong Kong transcended normal celebrity. He represented something deeper for Chinese people. After decades of seeing Asians depicted as villains or sidekicks in Western films, Bruce showed them as heroes. These films weren't just entertainment, they were cultural reclamation. The Big Boss shattered box office records in 1971, Fist of Fury dominated in 1972. These weren't modest successes, they represented a seismic shift in Asian cinema. Bruce Lee became Hong Kong's highest-paid actor practically overnight. His fame spread across Southeast Asia, then jumped to America and Europe. This explosion of popularity created an unusual situation for the Triads. Normally, they controlled successful actors through contracts, threats, or both. But Bruce Lee operated differently. He maintained creative control over his projects. He partnered with Raymond Chow's Golden Harvest, giving him unprecedented independence. Traditional levers of control didn't apply. Chan Wai-Man watched this dynamic with fascination. As a high-ranking Triad member, he understood the organization's power. They could make people disappear. They could ruin careers. They could inflict violence without consequence. Yet with Bruce Lee, they hesitated. The reason was simple: respect. Bruce Lee had earned the sincere admiration of Hong Kong's population, including Triad members themselves. Many gangsters had grown up watching kung fu films. They practiced martial arts. Bruce represented the pinnacle of everything they valued in Chinese martial culture. Touching him would provoke outrage across Hong Kong society. But respect alone didn't completely explain the Triad's restraint. Bruce Lee possessed real fighting skill. This mattered more than people realized. The Triads employed tough men, experienced fighters who had grown up fighting in the streets. Yet even these hardened enforcers recognized that Bruce operated at a different level. Chan experienced this firsthand during their training sessions. "Bruce's speed surprised me," Chan later recalled. His strike came before I could react. The martial arts champion, the Triad enforcer, the man with the fastest hands in Hong Kong, found himself outmatched by Bruce's velocity. This combination of popularity, skill, and cultural significance created protective armor around Bruce Lee. The Triads couldn't simply threaten him. They couldn't intimidate him with violence. Any action against Bruce would trigger consequences they couldn't control. Hong Kong citizens would revolt. International tension would intensify. The British colonial government would be forced to respond. So a tacit understanding developed. Bruce Lee remained untouchable. The Triads watched from the shadows but kept their distance. Chan Wai-Man's friendship with Bruce existed in this delicate balance where the criminal world and legitimate fame maintained a precarious peace. But when Bruce Lee suddenly died such an inexplicable death, many thought the narrative had been fabricated. The whispers about the Triads became shouts. Had the friendship between Bruce and Chan Wai-Man run its course? Had the Triads decided it was time to eliminate Bruce from the equation to reclaim their territory once and for all? Only one man knew the answers. And despite external and internal pressure, he kept them to himself as long as he could. Until they finally cracked and revealed something that cleared the air forever. Chan Wai-Man remained silent for decades. The pressure to speak was constant, but he resisted. Discussing Triad affairs violated codes that extended beyond simple organizational rules. Silence protected not only Chan himself, but also his family and associates. Breaking that silence carried consequences. But as years became decades, the landscape changed. Chan had long since retired from active Triad operations. He had built a successful acting career, appearing in over 80 films. His roles generally portrayed him as gangsters, criminals, and tough guys. His real background made his performances authentic in a way other actors couldn't match. And his credibility played a major role when he finally chose to speak about Bruce Lee. In interviews and documentaries, he weighed each word carefully, knowing people judged his statements through the prism of his past. As someone who had lived a dangerous life, earned a real name in street circles, and known Bruce personally, what he said carried real weight. At one point, Chan explained that he felt a moment had come where he had to be completely open. "It's time to tell everything," he said before clarifying his point. "It's impossible. No secret group would try to challenge Bruce Lee at that time. No one would dare provoke him to fight. It's impossible that the Triads had anything to do with his death." The words struck like hammer blows. Chan knew the Triads from inside their organization. He understood their powers, their methods, their decision-making processes. And he stated categorically that they would never have targeted Bruce Lee. The risk was too great, the consequences too unpredictable. But Chan went further, offering his analysis of how Bruce really died. His death was probably due to his intense training, or perhaps his hypersensitivity to ingredients found in the medication he suddenly took. Chan had witnessed Bruce's training methods firsthand. He saw the obsessive dedication, the pushing beyond normal human limits. He knew Bruce's weak points, and he knew that despite the fear he inspired in the Triad in the 70s, he wasn't invincible. The statement carried weight precisely because Chan had nothing to gain. He had left the Triad world. Bruce Lee's death offered him neither benefit nor liability. He simply told the truth as someone who knew both Bruce and the criminal world intimately. And that truth changed how the world looked at Bruce Lee's passing. He wasn't a brave, incorruptible hero, struck down by evil enemies. He was just a man, a formidable one, but still a man. And he had been struck down by no one other than himself. Chan's explanation of Bruce Lee's death aligned perfectly with the medical evidence. The cerebral edema that killed Bruce resulted from his body's extreme sensitivity to medication combined with multiple risk factors. His low body fat percentage, estimated at around 5%, left no margin for error. His intense training created chronic stress on his system. His use of muscle relaxants for recurring back injuries introduced foreign substances into an already stressed body. The May 1973 collapse should have served as a serious warning. Cerebral edema doesn't happen randomly in healthy young men. That first episode signaled that something was fundamentally wrong with Bruce's physical balance. But Bruce interpreted it as a temporary problem, something that could be overcome with determination and will. "My body is small, but I would train to have greater strength than people much bigger than me," he said. This mindset pushed him to extraordinary achievements, but also created vulnerabilities. He pushed his 135-pound body to perform at levels that defied men 50 pounds heavier. The physical toll accumulated in ways that weren't immediately visible. The muscle cramps Bruce experienced in his final months offered another warning sign. Chan remembered Bruce mentioning these episodes. The cramps suggested electrolyte imbalances, dehydration, or neurological stress. Combined with the previous cerebral edema, they painted the picture of a body functioning at its absolute limit. Recent medical analysis supports Chan's assessment. Researchers examining Bruce's death concluded that hyponatremia, insufficient sodium concentration in the blood, likely triggered the fatal cerebral edema. Bruce drank large amounts of water, consumed insufficient solutes, used medications that altered kidney function, and maintained extreme training intensity. These factors created a perfect storm for catastrophic medical failure. Chan's personal observation about Bruce's skills adds another layer to understanding his death. His martial skills were much better than mine, that's the truth. He was much better than me. Coming from a Southeast Asian fighting champion, this admission meant something profound. Bruce had achieved a level of martial arts mastery that exceeded even elite fighters. But supreme skill couldn't protect against medical catastrophe. The irony devastated everyone who knew Bruce, a man who could defeat any opponent in combat, who moved with superhuman speed and power, died from something as mundane as a headache pill. The cosmic injustice fueled conspiracy theories because people couldn't accept such a simple explanation. Chan's testimony provided closure for those willing to hear it. Bruce Lee was not assassinated. He wasn't killed by triads or vengeful martial arts masters. He died because human bodies have limits and Bruce pushed his beyond what it could bear. The friendship between Chan Wai-Man and Bruce Lee represented something unusual in Hong Kong's divided world. A triad enforcer and a global movie star shouldn't have formed an authentic bond. Yet they did. Their connection transcended the boundaries separating organized crime from legitimate society. Chan's respect for Bruce never wavered, even after death. For more stories of legends like this, subscribe to our channel. And together, we'll keep our favorite actors and legends alive forever in our hearts.